Good evening. I'm Chief Arthur Lawson, the Gretna Police Department. We're here today to give you all some information on a homicide that occurred in Gretna on January the 12th, about 21:20 hours in the area of number 70 Westbank Expressway in Gretna. With me is Captain Gray Thurman, who's in charge of our Criminal Investigations Division. A little bit about this incident. It started at the Wilty bus terminal where two individuals were getting off of a bus, an RTA bus that came from Algiers. And at that bus terminal, they spotted the victim at the bus terminal as well, who was a homeless individual by the name of Ronald McClure, a 47-year-old male. They then started following the suspect who was on foot, the victim who was on foot, walking westbound on the Westbank Expressway. They followed him from that bus terminal down the walking path, the middle of the Westbank Expressway, and till they got into the area of number 70 Westbank Expressway, which is a dark area. One of the suspects peeled off, and the second suspect, which was a juvenile, fired numerous shots, striking the victim approximately 3 times. We did not receive any calls of gunshots or anything regarding this. A motorist passed and seen someone laying on the ground under the overhead expressway. In Gretna, we run also the EMS. Our ambulance responded thinking that someone was ill or had some medical problems, discovered the victim, which had 3 gunshot wounds. We then took the investigation. Our Detective Bureau started the investigation and identified two suspects through video footage that was obtained through several businesses along the Westbank Expressway, as well as with the cooperation of RTA, some video off of the buses that they were on. After the shooting, the 2 suspects traveled back east towards the Wilty bus terminal and got back on a bus and back to Algiers. As I said, the victim was a Ronald McClure, a 47-year-old homeless man. What we also discovered in this investigation that McClure was wanted out of Jefferson Parish on a warrant for aggravated battery, in which the victim of the aggravated battery, it was a stabbing, was the juvenile that was the perpetrator in the homicide. That is what the reason that they followed him, is my understanding, and that the brother of the juvenile was the other person with him, and he encouraged the juvenile to seek revenge on the victim. So today, the Gretna Detective Bureau, our Criminal Investigations, along with the Major Crimes Task Force of Jefferson Parish, apprehended the 2 suspects. The one suspect was apprehended, Mario Antoine was apprehended at a restaurant or business in New Orleans. And the second suspect, the juvenile, was who actually had a 9mm handgun on him at the time. He was picked up. The juvenile suspect was apprehended getting off a bus coming from Algiers today at the Wilty bus terminal. He was apprehended. He had the 40 caliber weapon with him. It is going to be the weapon that was used in the homicide. Our detectives have interviewed both of the perpetrators. Both have given a full confession and details of the circumstances surrounding the homicide. They have presently been booked and incarcerated at this time. So if anybody has any questions, we can.
Chief, what's the relationship between this gentleman and the juvenile?
They're brothers.
They're brothers, okay.
I noticed this was on the, and correct me if I'm wrong, the same block as the Oasis Hotel, is that
Correct.
correct?
Right.
Sounds like this whole block is kind of crime-riddled. Do you know if there was any kind of association between the suspects and the hotel or the victim in the hotel?
I do not. We haven't got to that yet. And to answer your question, yes, we've had problems at that hotel. We just recently had another drug overdose at that hotel, a death. But there's no correlation, as we know at this time, between this incident and that hotel, other than the fact that pretty much happened in front of it on the expressway.
And one quick follow-up question, sorry. Can you tell me, is there a status update with that motel as far as, I know the city was exploring having a status?
I do know that in speaking with the mayor and speaking with some of the council people, I think the next city council meeting, it's gonna be brought up and addressed. It has become an issue, and it has been an ongoing issue, as you know, with many issues at the Oasis Motel over the past few years.
Thank you so much.
And you said at the arrest of Mr. Antoine, a handgun was recovered, and at the arrest of the juvenile, another handgun was recovered. That weapon right there, the one in the front that's not a handgun, was that the murder weapon of Mr. McClure?
One of the weapons here is Glock 40 caliber. It was the gun that was used in our homicide.
Which is it?
The assault rifle was seized in a search warrant at their residence. They are juveniles, and this is AR-15. And then there again,
Okay, I see.
the adult was arrested.
Okay, I just misread it, sorry.
Yeah, with the knife.
And then I just want to make sure I didn't hear it real quick. Did y'all say that the initial act against Mr. McClure, was it some kind of revenge act that y'all are suspecting?
Yes.
Was it,
McClure was a perpetrator of a stabbing of the juvenile, and there was a warrant out when we started checking. There was a warrant out for him by Jefferson Parish. There was a warrant out for the juvenile through Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. The victim, a warrant out for the victim for the stabbing of the juvenile.
Okay, perfect, sorry, I just wanted to make
It's
sure
okay.
I read that correctly.
was the presence of all three individuals at that bus stop premeditated or just happenstance?
I think it just happenstance. The two were on the bus. Evidently, they take that bus out of Algiers to go downtown New Orleans. And it's kind of an exchange with RTA at the Jefferson Parish bus terminal. And I think it was by happenstance. The victim is a homeless individual. He was actually leaving, I think it was his sister's?
Yes.
His sister's house in Algiers, and was walking to go to
To his father's house.
father's house in Harvey.
You said the 19-year-old peeled off when his little brother shot the gentleman. I guess, what was he doing? Can you elaborate on that?
Honestly, that was something we obtained during the confession that I'd prefer not to release at this moment. But essentially, the younger brother was egged on by the older sibling to seek retaliation.
At the moment of
At
the
the moment of pursuing him,
Oh,
he was actively involved in getting his brother to perpetrate that crime. But to expand on that anymore,
was he still in the physical proximity, or did he literally
no, I
leave?
think he was some distance away at that point.
So a few quick questions. When these arrests were made in New Orleans, was that done in collaboration with NOPD?
No, that was done with the Major Crimes Task Force, which is authorized and commissioned in Orleans Parish, so it did not involve the New Orleans Police Department.
When it comes to these killings and violent crimes involving young people and juveniles, has that been a new trend that you've seen recently? Has this been something that started?
I mean, in Gretna, we've been fortunate. Last year, we did not have a murder. This is our second incident this year. The other one a male who has since, we have a warrant for and has since fled the country, we believe. But, you know, it seems that there's more juveniles involved in a lot of these crimes. You know, I think part of it, not just homicides, but in juvenile crime across the board, you know, juveniles are becoming more and more involved in a lot of these crimes, and a lot of it was when the legislature changed the age of the juveniles, and some of the penalties of juveniles, and you know, a lot of these instances, juveniles are used to perpetrate the crimes because of that.
And when it comes to these crimes crossing parish lines, they came from New Orleans to Gretna and committed this crime. Are you seeing that on a rise, people crossing parish lines to commit?
Well, you know, our close proximity to the city of New Orleans, and particularly Algiers, is that we've always, you know, had some influence, I should say, I guess, of crime that spills over into our jurisdiction. You know, we see a lot coming over the, you know, traffic over the bridge, you know, that people are coming back and forth and will come to the Westbank sometime to commit crimes.
The older brother, have your officers run into him before? Did he have any sort of rap sheet?
None.
Good?
Thank you
Okay.
guys very much.
Thank y'all. Thank you.